Do you hear it? The echoes of the past, the whispers of forgotten truths, fragments of memories lost in the shadows. Welcome to Brainrot, Echoes, where we bring you stories long buried, unravel mysteries cloaked by time, and guide you through the darkest corners of the mind and the universe. Each video is more than just content. It's an echo resonating deep within, urging you to question, to wonder, to explore. Backend index pointing right, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join us in listening to the echoes the world tried to silence. Milky Way Deathworld, Part 1, The World of Death. Kael-Torr, a planet shunned even by the stars themselves. Its surface is pure hell. Toxic winds howl in endless fury. Electric storms tear open the blood-red sky, and acidic oceans are never at rest. The land is a jagged wasteland of craggy rock, with molten lava ceaselessly spewing from bottomless fissures. On Kael-Torr, any creature that dares to cling to life must become a predator, or be devoured by the very ground it treads upon. And on Kael-Torr, only one species deserves to survive, the Kaelari. They are towering beings, with 4 muscular arms as hard as steel, their skin cloaked in black-violet scales, as tough as armor. Golden eyes blaze in the darkness, and their jaws are lined with razor fangs. The Kaelari are not merely strong. They're survival incarnate, forged over thousands of generations in Kael-Torr's deadly crucible. The Kaelari know no mercy. In their bloodline, there is no room for the weak. A newborn unable to stand within an hour of birth is left for the predators in the abyss. The old, if unable to wield a weapon, walk of their own will into the silent chasm, where monstrous roots consume their bodies. They dwell in colossal stone cities carved into the mountain faces, built with the claws and blood of their ancestors. The greatest of these, Va Croft, rises over 6,000 meters, its needle-like towers piercing the poisonous clouds, like claws defying the gods. But the Kaelari have no gods. To them, only the Kaelari stand at the pinnacle. The Kaelari alone have the right to exist on Deathworld. They believe that if any other life exists out there, it must surely be the cowardly kind, hiding from the trials the Kaelari have conquered. Ancient legends etched on the rock walls of the Warriors' Council tell that from the dawn of time, the Kaelari fought beasts as tall as mountains, slaying them one by one until none remained. They tore the monsters' bodies apart, raised fortresses from their bones, and painted their walls with the beast's blood. And then, the Kaelari raised their gaze to the star-filled sky and declared, "We are the only ones worthy of ruling this Deathland. We are the sole children of Deathworld." Va Thursday, the youngest war leader ever to command a Kaelari legion, stood atop the peak of the Gray Spine Tower. His gaze swept over the horizon where storms roared. Pride surged within him like molten rock. He had been born in the heart of an acid storm, carried off by sand beasts, and returned with the creature's fangs buried in his own arm. From that moment, he knew a Kaelari must never know fear. In the distance, a quake shook the land. The ground split apart, crimson fire spouted skyward, and beyond the horizon, colossal shadows advanced, their skin glowing like molten rock, their eyes burning with hatred. The Kragan had returned. War horns blared from the watchtowers. The Kaelari poured from the city, rushing into the night, into the storm winds that cut like blades, onto a land where every step could mean death. But they did not falter, for they were the children of Deathworld. Va Thursday gripped his war axe, carved from monster bone, his eyes blazing like twin stars of fire. "We are the only ones worthy of being here. If there were others, they'd be long dead." What he did not know was that, in just a few nights, that belief will be torn apart. Deathworld, Part 2, Signal from the Stars. That night, the sky over Kael-Torr was black as ink, torn apart in patches by streaks of crimson lightning. The electric storm that had raged for 3 days finally began to wane, leaving behind an air thick with the scent of ozone and ash. In a dark chamber deep beneath the Gray Spine Tower, The golden eyes of the Kaelari elders were fixed on the glowing orb at the center of a black stone table. This was the Star Eye, the only relic the Kaelari had ever used to look beyond their world. Not in hope, but in vigilance. The Star Eye had been silent for millennia. But tonight, it had awakened. From deep within the void, a strange signal had reached them. A series of broken, distorted sounds, but with a rhythm. Beep, beep, beep. V.A. Thursday leaned against a stone pillar, his hands clenched around his war axe. He didn't like this unfamiliar feeling. Anything that came from the sky, to the Kaelari, always meant ill omen. Where is it coming from? V.A. Thursday growled. An elder female answered, her voice as rough as grinding stone. From the west. The endless chasm. The room fell silent. The endless chasm. The dead land from which no Kaelari patrol had ever returned. A place so cursed, even the fiercest creatures dared not approach it. An old Kaelari muttered, perhaps this is Deathworld's test, or the sign of the end day. V.A. Thursday put no faith in myths. But he knew this, the signal was no accident. And if it came from the stars, it could threaten the Kaelari. Summon the warband. We ride. The elders looked at V.A. Thursday, then nodded. Who else could lead them but the one born of storm and blood? ________________________ 30 Kaelari warriors set out into the night. They rode Rokash, three-legged beasts with iron-hide skin, burning red eyes, and fangs like blades. The journey lasted 3 days and nights, across ash plains, over fissures that spewed toxic gas, through steel-thorn forests where every branch was as sharp as a sword. At last, the endless chasm came into view, a vast pit like Deathworld's own maw. Below, dark clouds swirled, lightning flickered, and there, on the slope of the chasm, lay a shattered vessel of scorched silver metal. Upon its hull was a strange symbol, a blue circle cradling white star-like dots, and beneath it a flag. V.A. Thursday frowned, staring. He had never seen its like. This is not of Deathworld. This comes from beyond the stars. Another warrior murmured, they can't survive here. But then, amid the howling wind, they heard it, the clang of metal, the shout of voices, and the crack of gunfire. V.A. Thursday signaled. The Kaelari warband crept down the slope, silent as shadows. And they saw, in the wreckage of the ship, a group of strange beings had built a makeshift camp. Smaller than the Kaelari, with only 2 arms, clad in battered, torn armor. Their faces were streaked with grime and sweat, but their eyes burned with the will to survive. They were human. A gust of wind carried the stench of blood and gunpowder. The predators of the endless chasm lurked behind the rocks, waiting for their chance. But to the Kaelari's astonishment, these small beings had already slain some of the beasts, with crude weapons and improvised traps. V.A. Thursday tightened his grip on his war axe. All his life he believed, only the Kaelari deserved to live on Deathworld. But now, before his own eyes, he saw creatures from the sky doing what Kaelari thought impossible. He gazed at the humans and whispered, has Deathworld lied to us? A lightning bolt split the sky, illuminating the entire chasm. And in that fleeting moment, the fates of Kaelari and humankind became entwined forever. Milky Way Deathworld, Part 3, Encounter with Another Species. V.A. Thursday raised his hand. 30 Kaelari spread out, clinging to the jagged cliffs like demons of the night. The wind howled, lashing their faces like whips. Below, the predators drew closer to the wrecked ship, their red eyes flickering in the dark. V.A. Thursday felt every breath of his warriors, heard the pounding hearts of the Rokash above. His gaze fixed on the strange beings. They had built a crude barricade of ship debris, reinforced with stones. A few of the creatures, humans, were planting small devices in the ground. V.A. Thursday had never seen weapons like these, but he recognized the look in their eyes, the gaze of those cornered but ready to bite back. A young Kaelari slithered near and hissed. They are weak. One strike now, and they will be torn apart. VA Thursday said nothing. His Kaelari instinct screamed, destroy the outsiders, protect Deathworld from defilement. But the human's eyes stayed his hand, eyes that mirrored the look of Kaelari warriors standing before beast's fangs, unyielding. A roar shattered the night. From amidst of the chasm, a Thrainer emerged. Over 10 meters tall, for legs like stone pillars, twin rows of razor fangs, and horns heavy as boulders. It was terror itself. Kaelari avoided facing one alone. The predators fell back, giving way to the true reaper. The humans opened fire. Muzzles flared, bullets tore into its hide, but only enraged it. The beast charged the camp, hurling aside rock and steel. A man was flung through the air, blood staining the ground. VA Thursday saw it all. Small, desperate, but the humans did not retreat. A scarred, silver-haired female commander led them, shouting orders in a strange tongue. They threw firebombs, drove spears, and set what scraps of cloth and plastic remained aflame to create a fragile wall of fire. In that instant, VA Thursday understood. These were not weaklings. These were beings who had learned to defy Deathworld with sheer will. Down! Brainrot. 30 Kaelari stormed the slope like a black tempest. They charged in, making no distinction between human or beast. Kaelari war axes cleaved the air, striking the Thrainer's legs. Blades tore its flesh, black blood gushed like a river. The humans froze, certain these giants were enemies, only to see them deal death to the monster. The Thrainer roared, flung a Kaelari aside, but collapsed under combined assault. VA Thursday himself buried his axe in its skull, ending the nightmare. Silence fell. Only the wind's howl and the stench of burning flesh remained. Two species faced each other. The humans drew back, weapons ready. The Kaelari held their ground, prepared if attacked. A long breath passed. The human commander stepped forward, removed her helmet, revealing a weathered face of sun and scars. She met VA Thursday's gaze, eyes full of weariness and defiance. VA Thursday stared back, then growled in ancient Kaelari tongue. We are not enemies. Not tonight. Though the humans could not understand the words, they understood the meaning. The guns lowered. Above, a shooting star tore across the heavens. Perhaps even Deathworld held its breath, witnessing the moment two species, once certain they alone deserved to survive, now stood together at the edge of life and death. VA Thursday thought, Deathworld lied to us, or Deathworld is teaching us a lesson. Underscore. Underscore. Milky Way Deathworld, Part 4. Doubt and Clash. Darkness smothered the chasm. The wind shrieked through stone fissures, carrying the scent of blood and ash. The survivors' camp was a small island adrift in a sea of death. Humans and Kaelari stood side by side, but between them yawned a chasm of doubt. VA Thursday sat on a high rock, his golden eyes quietly watching. Below, Kaelari warriors kept guard. Now and then they shot glances at the humans, cold, as if waiting for a reason to turn the outsiders into prey. And the humans? They huddled together, weapons always in hand. The woman, Kara Henshaw, VA Thursday had learned her name, stood at the center, a living shield for her people. Kara trusted no mercy from these four-armed giants. She had seen species smarter than humans betray when survival was at stake. Here, there were no true allies. The night dragged on like 1,000 years. Whispers in the dark. Kaelari muttered. They came from the sky. If they could reach here, they'll call more of their kind. Then Deathworld will no longer be ours. Kill them now, before they summon their kin. VA Thursday heard it all, but stayed silent. Inside, he wrestled with himself. The warrior in him roared to destroy the threat. But Kara's eyes held him back, eyes like those of Kaelari veterans before charging the Kragan. Meanwhile, among the humans, young soldiers whispered to Kara, "We can't trust them. One swing from them, and we're dead. If they change their minds." Kara bit her lip. She needed no reminder. The Kaelari were stronger, more numerous. If battle came, the humans would die. But doing nothing meant death anyway on Deathworld. And then the inevitable happened. A human, nerves frayed to breaking. Her noise behind him spun and fired. The shot rang out. The bullet grazed a Kaelari guard, leaving a bloody streak on his arm. In an instant, the camp erupted into chaos. Kaelari roared, axes drawn, charging like a black storm. The humans fell back, firing. Bullets stung Kaelari scales like needles on stone. Va Thursday leapt from his rock, swung his axe to block his kin. "Stop!" His voice drowned the gunfire, drowned the wind. But the wounded Kaelari, young, hot-blooded, did not hear. He lunged. His axe fell upon a human. A scream split the night. Blood darkened the ground. Kara shouted orders. "Circle up. Hold your ground." Her soldiers drew in, makeshift barricades raised from shipwreckage, smoke bombs thrown, the wounded dragged inside. Va Thursday seized the attacker's axe, hurled him down. "We are not enemies tonight. Are you mad?" But it was too late. The scent of blood called the predators. From every crevice, they swarmed, red-eyed, fang-clawed. The unwanted battle began. Kaelari and human, back to back, fought a shared foe. Gunshots, axes, blades on blades echoed through the chasm. Fire painted the night red. Va Thursday fought like the storm itself. But his heart clenched. This should not have happened. We could have. Kara glanced at Va Thursday amid gunfire and flame, and she understood. This monster, too, was fighting for life, as she was. At last, when the beast lay dead, black blood-soaking stone, when night was quiet again, the two species faced each other once more. No word spoken, none needed. Both sides knew. Tonight all had lost something. Va Thursday dropped his axe, spat blood, and met Kara's gaze. "Enough. We have made ourselves the prey." Kara slowly lowered her gun, nodding, sweat and ash streaking her face. "You're right. Deathworld won tonight." Milky Way Deathworld, Part 5, The Denied Truth. As the first dawn after the blood-soaked night broke, Deathworld remained as merciless as ever. Its sun, red and cracked like a molten iron sphere, cast pale rays through the gray clouds. Heat and the stench of rotting flesh thickened the air like tar. Va Thursday stood upon a rocky outcrop, gazing down at the camp. Humans and Kaelari together patched what little remained. Warriors bandaged wounds, repaired armor, and burned the bodies of fallen predators. Within him, a silent storm howled. He had always believed Kaelari were the only species worthy of survival on Deathworld. But last night, he had seen it. Another species that fought like them, bled like them, and was ready to die for one another, just as Kaelari would. By midday, when the heat felt like it would burn the soul itself, Kara Henshaw approached him. She carried an ancient device, a fragment still functioning from the wrecked ship. "Listen," she said. She activated it. From the crackling speaker, a voice emerged, old as Deathworld itself. "Emergency. Survey Team 7 reporting. Deathworld Kael-Torr. Colonization failed, leaving self-destruct devices immediate evacuation. Support team left behind. No rescue. Batur Froza. Failed colonization? Your kind were here before," he growled. Kara nodded, eyes distant, lost in the gray sky. "Thousands of years ago, humans came to Kael-Torr, tried to make it a colony. We failed, we fled. A team was left behind, the forgotten ones." Va Thursday felt as though the earth beneath him cracked open. "You're saying the ancestors of the Kaelari are the ones your kind abandoned?" "Maybe. Or perhaps Kael-Torr reshaped those humans into what you are now," Kara replied softly. Her words sliced through Kaelari pride like a blade. Va Thursday looked at his fellow warriors, those who had always believed themselves to be the pinnacle of evolution, the true children of Deathworld. Now, Perhaps they were nothing more than descendants of a forsaken group. He roared in fury, though he no longer knew who deserved it. Kara, humanity's ancestors, or Deathworld itself that had deceived him all his life. Kara rested a hand on the device, voice low and hoarse. We once thought ourselves masters of the stars, but Deathworld taught us true strength lies not in conquest, but in realizing how small we truly are. V.A. Thursday closed his eyes and turned his face to the sky. The wind carried ash and dust into them, but no tears fell. Kaelari, do not cry. But within him, a part of his pride died. That night, V.A. Thursday lit a fire. He sat beside Kara. Deathworld is not what I thought. We are not what I thought, he said quietly. Kara nodded. But Deathworld is still here, and it will crush both our species if we remain blind. V.A. Thursday clenched his fists. Maybe that is Deathworld's true lesson. The last survivor isn't the strongest, but the one who lets go of pride. Above, the stars glimmered between torn clouds. For the first time, V.A. Thursday saw them not as prizes to conquer, but as guiding lights, leading to truths deeper than Kael-Torr's abyss. Underscore. Milky Way Deathworld, Part 6, The Final Choice. The quake began as night fell. At first, just faint tremors. Then the ground beneath the camp split like the jaws of some awakening titan. From deep within Kael-Torr came a roar, not wind, not rockslide, but something older than Deathworld itself, an entity beyond the imagining of both Kaelari and human. V.A. Thursday and Kara exchanged a look. They understood. Deathworld's lesson was not over. Doom emerged. From a fissure, its obsidian body slithered forth, long as a mountain range. Its head bore thousands of tiny black gemstone eyes, each one the soul of a demon. Jaws lined with pillars of teeth crushed rock and metal like mud. Krothzul, a name from ancient Kaelari legend, long dismissed as myth. Panic swept the camp. Kaelari retreated, tasting fear for the first time. The humans gripped their weapons, but despair filled their eyes. They knew nothing could kill Krothzul. V.A. Thursday raised his axe, shouting, "We have no choice. Fight together, or be prey." Kara nodded. "Give me 5 minutes. I'll order my team to detonate the ship's antimatter core." V.A. Thursday roared, "Kaelari, build stone traps. Block its path. Blind it before it devours us all." Battle was joined. Krothzul advanced, coiling like a monstrous serpent. Kaelari charged, axes striking its stone armor. Its blood, if that's what it was, flowed like lava, burning the earth. Humans set off their last incendiary bombs, creating a barrier of fire. Kara led a small team, hauling the antimatter core through the fissures. Sweat mingled with blood as she muttered prayers she no longer believed. V.A. Thursday climbed Krothzul's back, hacking at its eyes. Its roar shook the world. The final moment came. "Kara," he heard over the comm, "detonate. Now." But V.A. Thursday did not retreat. He knew, unless the core was lodged deep in its skull's crack, the blast would only destroy the camp, not the monster. He leapt down, driving the core into the fissure in its head. "Live to tell the tale, Kara Henshaw, for your kind and mine." Krothzul roared, swallowing V.A. Thursday and the core. A white light tore the night apart. The quake ended. Krothzul was ash, scattered into the land from which it came. The camp lay in ruins, but survivors still stood. Kara knelt, scooping a handful of blackened earth. "You chose well, V.A. Thursday. There are no Kaelari or humans left, only survivors of Deathworld." Milky Way Deathworld, Part 7, The Aftermath. Dawn rose, not glorious, not triumphant. Just pale light piercing the ash-laden clouds, revealing a land of ruin. Krothzul was no more, but the price was a valley soaked in ash and blood. The camp was wreckage, twisted steel, charred human banners, shattered Kaelari axes. Kara Henshaw stood amid the remains, hair silvered with dust, eyes heavy with unspoken loss. Fewer than 10 humans lived. A handful of Kaelari warriors stood in silence, gazing at the wreckage. No one spoke. No word were needed. The night had taught them Deathworld's final truth. The day passed quietly. They built a new shelter, not a human camp, not a Kaelari camp, but simply a haven for survivors. They shared water from a hidden spring, split what dried meat remained, and traded stories they never thought they would tell in other species. Kara sat by the fire, carving their tale into a stone slab. Of Krothzul, of Ye Thursday, of the choice that saved them. She knew, if they died, the story would endure. And any who came after would know Deathworld was defied not by strength, but by sacrifice. An old Kaelari sat beside her, fingers rough with forgotten pride tracing the stone. His name will remain. Ye Thursday, the one who remembered Deathworld was not only destruction. That final night, Kara looked up. For the first time in many nights, the ash clouds parted, revealing a distant Milky Way, the stars her ancestors once saw from Earth, before ambition brought them to Deathworld. A young Kaelari murmured, as if to himself, "Perhaps out there are more Deathworlds. But now we know, no species alone can master such worlds." Kara nodded, and if anyone asked what species we are, she paused, glancing at the soot-streaked faces around the fire, human and Kaelari alike. "We'll say, we are survivors of Deathworld." They no longer dreamed of leaving Kael-Torr. They stayed, not to conquer, but to guard. So Deathworld's story would not be forgotten. So the stars would know there was a day when two species from different stars defied the monster their own ambition had birthed. One day, perhaps, human ships would return, or another Kaelari band would come from distant mountains, and they would hear this story, etched in stone, carried by wind and ash. The story of Deathworld, and those who let go of pride to grasp life.